Welcome into the Hannycast for Thursday, June the 19th. Charles Hanagriff, along with former Tiger coach Dan Canevari. We're brought to you by Marucci. From a backyard shed to the top of the game, Marucci, more than just a baseball bat company, a legacy built on passion and precision with 2 decades of crafting the finest wood, metal, and leather in the sport. Here to help you run the game, visit MarucciSports.com to gear up with the best. And by Bayou Apparel, if you're looking for anything LSU, go to Everything LSU, made by locals, shipping from Baton Rouge with eye-catching designs, helping you create your company's message. Design experts do logos, event T-shirts, and promotional items for your business. Call 225-928-9090 or go to everythinglsu.com. Ken, you've seen a lot of baseball games. You ever seen one quite like that last night at
that one
Charles
was
Schwab?
that one was as bizarre as I've ever seen. I mean, been through a lot of different kind of games, but the way that we won at the end was a tribute to LSU baseball as a program, I think, because they took the attitude that was, I think, was brought in with Skip Bertman is we never ever felt like we lost the game. We just ran out of outs. And I think that was the attitude. They were going to fight till the bitter end. They were never going to give up. And they just wore down Arkansas. They just kept coming. And fight through mistakes, fight through at-bats. Jared Jones coming back from the golden sombrero. The platinum sombrero. The first game against Arkansas, having to play at first, it probably was not typical of what he does that cost us, a tying run. But then to come back and have a homer and then win the game, Brad Cressy style, was tremendous.
Jared Jones opened the College World Series 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. Since then, he is 5 for 9 with 2 home runs and 6 runs batted in. And, Ken, we can bounce all over the place because I could talk about this game for hours. Him coming back to hit that solo home run in the 8th. Okay, so he had put the first game behind him, but had he put Gabe Gackle behind him, because Gackle was the one that got him 3 times on Saturday and got him another time on a slider earlier in this game. So now here comes Jared Jones in the bottom of the 8th inning, and there's nobody on. There's 2 outs. You're down a run. You're down to 4 outs. The guy you're facing on the mound has struck you out the last 4 times you've faced him, and Jones took him yard. The mental focus that he had to have there is just so impressive given that scenario I just laid out to you.
Well, the other thing, too, is he saw him 4 times and struck out. So he kind of had a read and had a feel and had seen him enough. But again, I'm going to tell you this. There's no doubt in my mind that after the platinum sombrero and after 3 strikeouts versus Gackle, he and Coach Mark Wanaka and Jay Johnson sat down and they went through everything and the plan and what went wrong in the at-bat and went to work to fix it and get him back because they knew they'd need him. And Jared Jones bought in, and he got him. It's baseball. I can strike out 5 times, but I'm going to get you because, I'm on scholarship too. I'm getting drafted too. And that attitude, I think, carried over. And boy, did we need him. When he showed up, we needed him. I was more impressed with the hit to win the game because that was a slider down and away, and he got it just over the second baseman's head.
Okay, let's just work backwards here since you brought that up. You got a runner at second base in Luis Hernandez. This is after the crazy Karen play out in left field. There's 2 outs, and Josh Pearson is on deck, and that's important. Aiden Jimenez is in the game. He's a right-handed pitcher. He threw 40 pitches yesterday or the day before that, and first base is open. My first thought, Dan, was that they're not going to pitch to Jared Jones here. They're just going to point to first base and have him walk down there because his run doesn't mean anything. And because, well, he's Jared Jones. After the game, Dave Van Horn said, well, I liked my righty-righty matchup with Jimenez and Jones better than go righty-lefty to Josh Pearson, who was on deck. And I also thought it was a good move by Jay Johnson to not pinch run for Luis Hernandez because, well, the odds are at that point, if we're playing the percentages, that game's going to go to extra innings, and I don't want to have to put a catcher in cold. So you tell me about the decision to pitch to Jones because that surprised some people.
Well, they thought they could get Jones out with sliders. And he'd been gotten to. Remember, in the back of Van Horn's mind, there's the 5 strikeouts. Jared Jones was able to put the 5 strikeouts out of his mind, but it was in Dave Van Horn's mind. Plus, the history of the program, the history of LSU baseball. Josh Pearson is known as a clutch performer. Would
But
you agree
Jones
with
had
that?
hit the but Jones had already hit the ball out of the park here.
Okay, and as a coach, you figured, okay, that's his hit. He hasn't been swinging it well. Okay, but
Okay.
who over the course of the season, in clutch times where you needed to play, has done it over the last 4 seasons better than Josh Pearson?
Pearson's made plenty. He's made plenty plays. No,
And
no
plenty of
argument
at
there.
bats that were crucial. So what I'm saying is Van Horn made a judgment call, righty on righty, slider on righty. He hasn't handled the slider well. I believe the home run was on a fastball
It
off
was.
a pickle.
It
So
was.
he's figuring, I got the slider. This guy's got a good slider. I don't want to have the slider come into Pearson, who's a very good hitter. I don't want to put, I don't want to do this. Okay. So I'm going to pitch to Jones. But again, the pitching to Jones was supposed to be the unintentional, intentional walk, and he left the slider up and Jones hit it. That's
Pattern
baseball.
3. Pattern 3.
Pattern 3.
Okay.
Pattern 3. That's what it's
Pattern
supposed to be.
Pattern 3, and he
Pattern
left
3.
one up there. All right,
Even
let's
the
back.
announcers were Charlie. Even the announcers are saying you won't see it. He won't see a fastball in this at bat.
Right, and he
So
didn't, but he
Jimenez made a mistake. He didn't bury the curveball in the dirt.
yeah.
He didn't throw it where he couldn't hit it. He left one up.
And so okay, let me back up to my original question. If and he threw, it was I think it was the 3rd or 4th pitch that he threw to Jones. If you don't get him in a hole, okay, I mean, if he lays off even one of them, then don't you point down to first base and just
I
say,
would.
take your walk? Yeah, I mean,
I
I
would,
I,
but I'm
I
not
get.
coaching in Arkansas.
Sure. I get trying to get him to go fishing. I understand that completely. And it's a calculated risk because there's 2 outs. Okay. So you only got to get one. Even if you uncork a wild pitch there, you got the guy's at second. He's not at third. So I get it. But after he laid off, a couple of those things, I might have just pointed down to first base. The other thing was you take a left-hander out of the bullpen, except Pearson hits and then walk him. But then Pearson hits left-handers pretty well.
That was a
So
tough thing for Van Horn.
yeah, he was in a very tough spot there.
I'm going to throw in one other thing that factored in: the ballpark. Jones hit a homer. That's probably like Van Horn's thinking, he's not going to hit another homer, not here. If we were at Arkansas or LSU, he would have played it different, I think.
Oh, okay, and you're probably right, except he didn't need a homer. He only needed a single,
I
as
know,
it turned
but
out.
I'm
Yeah,
saying that's 9 times out of 10. That's how Jones is going to beat you with a homer.
I get you. We're brought to you by Dependable Storage with 8 locations across Louisiana and one in Gulfport, Mississippi. They'll match any competitor's pricing with convenient online rentals and payments, free use of the moving truck for new rental move-ins, and clean, secure, and conveniently located facilities. Check out the website at dependablestorage.com for location, pricing, and rentals. Like Skip Bertman always says, at Dependable Storage, we want your stuff. Let's go back to the play before that, which was the line drive off of the bat of Luis Hernandez. And Charles Davelin, who is a really, really good player, terrific hitter. He's the leadoff hitter for Arkansas. Makes a misstep, or at least looks like he got a little bit of a bad jump, bad read, whatever you want to call it. And he came in on the ball, and as he's going down, as he slips down or is diving down, however you want to say it, he loses track of the baseball, loses sight. It hits off his shoulder, goes into the corner, and LSU scores the tying runs there. How did you view that play?
Well, first of all, Hernandez hit the ball. It was like a hooking knuckleball. If you saw the way he hit it, guys haven't played outfield. That ball's moving like this, Charlie. Take a look.
Yeah,
It's moving.
yeah.
Okay. His first reaction was to step back. Okay. Once he did that and he didn't have a real good read on the ball, given that situation, the play is keep the ball in front of me and just we'll take the next batter. Meaning,
Give up 1 run, not 2.
you got it. It's like when an infielder eats the ball. He doesn't field the ball clean, but he doesn't pick it up and try to make it out that's not there. Just throw it. He should have let it go. But then we got a break where the same break that they got earlier in the game, let's go back to when Jake Brown was at first base and they tried to execute a first and third steal, and Jake got tagged out. He planted with his right foot, and it kicked out, and they ended up tagging him right before the runner, scored at home plate.
Boy, I
If
love that play. I know it didn't work out for LSU. I
No, that's a
absolutely love
great
that
play.
play. Yeah, because Jake Brown is fast enough. You figure he's going to be able to stay in the rundown, and Pearson's sneaky fast coming from third, and to steal that run right there. I know it didn't work because Brown slipped, but I absolutely love that play in that position. Another 100 times. I think that play works 85% of the time or better, and he slipped and that happens. But I love that call.
It's a higher percentage play than letting your 300 hitter go up there. Like you're saying, it's 85% you're going to score if you run that play.
I made
It's
that number
30.
up, by the way. I made that number up, by the way. It's
Yeah, but
just my
it's a higher percentage than the
yeah,
guy getting a hit, especially
yeah,
with 2 strikes. So what I'm saying is that's a good play. Okay, Jake lost his footing, and if he digs in and breaks back, we score a run. That's it. I
yeah,
mean, it was that close. What happened? What we got payback though when Davlin is out in left field, he goes back and then he plants to come up and get the ball, and his foot slipped out, and it hits him in the shoulder. So the baseball gods taketh, and the baseball gods
yeah,
giveth.
yeah,
And
sure.
but I'm saying once he went back, he just had to try to block the ball. There was no catching that ball. So
All right, we've done this backwards, so let's just keep going. You got first and second, you got one out, and Stephen Milam at the plate. And this is a ground ball to short. Wahiwa Aloy, SEC Player of the
oh,
Year at short for Arkansas. He's got to go to his right, but not very far. And he decides to throw to third to get the lead runner. Um, Dan, we got with all the extra cameras they've got up there in Omaha, we had some exceptional views of this, the aerial views. They would have had plenty of time to turn that double play, which would have ended the game. He chose to go to third, and that the runner that's going to second base is everything. That's the tie and run. This was Dave Van Horn defended him in the press conference. I would have too. That's his guy. He's had a phenomenal year. He's a great player, but in this instance, he made a mistake.
he lost the moment, and
Yeah,
that happens. It's at the end of the game, and trust me, I was talking to people about this today. Of course, up here on the North Shore, I got some youth league teams, and they play, and that was a youth league moment almost, because when these young kids play in these tournaments, they're in front of their families and all these people, and parents are up there rooting, "Come on, get ahead, come on, play," and then they got the teammates and the other people, and they don't think the same. Okay, well, Aloy is thinking, I want to win the game. I want to win the game. We're going to make a play. We're going to win the game. We're going to win the game. We're ahead. Ground ball. And then when he gets the ground ball, he lost the moment because of all the pressure there. And he saw the runner in his face running to third. And the ball was hit to his right. And you're trained, if a ball's hit to your right and there's a runner on second, if he goes to third, you're going to go there. The runner's not supposed to go. So he reacted, but in that situation, he should have thought double play first, forget the runner at second. And
yeah,
he lost the moment. And that's what happens with pressure. And I feel bad for the kid, but he'll never make that mistake the rest of his life.
yeah. And
Again, he's never going to make it again.
there's just no scenario where going to third is the right play. Even if the game was tied and there was nobody out, you're still going to try
No,
to
you're
turn
going
the
for the
double.
double play.
You're
It
going for the
doesn't
double
matter.
play every time. And so for Aloy and Davlin, they both know they both got to play right in front of them to end the game. This is way deeper than a play that you might make in the third or fourth inning. This is to win the game, and it got to them.
That's why the moments got too big. Here's the other thing. I got to flip it back. Everybody looks at the errors and plays it could have made, would have made. How about the fact that we hit a hard ground ball in that situation and didn't strike out? How about the fact that
Sure.
Luis Hernandez hit a hard line drive that knuckled, was a laser beam that was difficult for the guy to catch? See, that it goes both ways. Okay. If they did that, Charlie, and it was 5-1 in the second inning, and Davalon missed that ball, everybody said, whoa, Hernandez did a real good job on that ball. Davalon got fooled a little bit, blah, blah, because it's not the end of the game. At the end of the game, it all gets scrutinized, but it could have happened in the second inning to lose the game. It's just at the end, it's magnified.
And I'll give you a good example of that with a guy who's taking some scrutiny right now, and it's Michael Braswell, because he's struggling at the plate. There's no question about that. But Dan, there's a ball in the first inning, the very
Oh my
first
gosh.
inning
The play he
that
made on defense? Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Okay.
Short
So
hop, hard line drive to his glove side. That's a tough play.
and if that's in the eighth inning, the whole world remembers it. It was
Right.
in the first inning. So if that ball goes off of his glove or in the left field, which is honestly maybe where it should have been, by the law of averages, well, maybe Arkansas gets out to a 1-0 lead or a 2-0. Maybe it opens the floodgates for a big inning and Cowan doesn't get into the sixth the way he did. And I'll tell you another play I thought that he made was phenomenal, was on the missed double play, because it's a high chop. He gets the ball out of his hands in a hurry. It's a bullet to second base. Dickinson was able to handle it easily and make the throw. They don't complete the double play, but that's a key spot there. That's one that everybody is remembering. So listen, I know Braswell's scuffling at the plate, and I'm going to ask you another question about him in a second, but that defense that he has played, including the 2 double plays he started on Saturday, that ain't no joke.
Well, that's a staple of LSU baseball, especially in Omaha, playing defense and pitching. Now, I'm going to throw another thing out there. Okay. Let's not forget the play Milan made. A
In the
couple of
first
plays
inning.
Milan made,
Yeah.
but the one he made in the first inning. I
Yeah.
mean, those are game changer plays, but they're in the first inning, so they're forgotten because of the way the game ended. Okay. And I'm going to throw another thing out, and I think you're going to this. Let's not forget that Zach Cowan gave us a Cade Anderson type performance without the flashy strikeouts. 1 run, a homer, got us into the 6th inning. That's what we've been getting from Ianson and Cade Anderson at that moment. Kudos to Cowan.
He didn't walk anybody. That's
Yeah.
that's where I want to start. I thought there were 2 balls that were hit hard. The homer and the line drive that Jones caught right on the line. And it may have gone foul. I don't know. Jones is 6'5", so he went up and got that thing. But I didn't think there were the other hits. There was a ground ball that got through it, and there was a couple that beat the shift. So these were not. It's not like he was getting hit hard. No, I thought he was terrific. And Dan, just like you and Doug said a couple of podcasts back, he needed some more time. He had taken a lot of time in between outings, and he maybe had lost a little bit of the feel for the changeup. But that was back in this game.
And the other thing is, I saw Yeski called a lot more sliders. Okay, as a show pitch, not as an out pitch. Meaning, give them something else to think about, give them something to worry about, and I think they worked on that to have a 3-pitch mix. But that changeup was outstanding. He located it well. Yeah, gave up the homer, but that's part of the deal. And it was a low percentage play in Omaha that they'd hit a homer, but he was outstanding, tremendous poise, and gave them exactly what they needed in that ball game. Probably, in my mind, as a pitching coach, that was a great performance, right up there with some great performances we had in the past from guys like Thatcher Hurd and
Yeah,
other guys. Ben
Nate
Saxon,
Ackenhausen.
Nate Ackenhausen, Ben Saxon in
Yeah.
2000. I mean, guys that just came through with the performance when you needed it.
Jaden Newt, I thought, pitched well in relief. Chase Shores, I thought he got maybe a little bit gassed to the adrenaline, maybe a little bit too much to him, but he came in throwing heat. And Jacob Myers, if Yeski made one call that I think he might like to have back last night, it was the first pitch that Myers threw to Justin Thomas
Throwing a
Jr.
slider, yeah.
Yeah, I think if he had that one to do over again, he'd throw him a fastball and see if the 9-hole hitter can catch up to that heat, because Myers was able to get out of it after that. But other than that, I thought he called a remarkably strong game last night.
Yes, and it's always easy to question the pitch calls after you call them, but when you're in
Sure.
there, he's probably thinking he's going to get up there and look for a fastball. Myers a big fastball pitcher, and he just want to give him what he was looking for.
With 25 years of experience, Lake Urgent Care is dedicated to providing quality care close to home, treating minor illnesses and injuries for ages 3 months and up at 17 convenient locations: Baton Rouge, Hammond, Livingston, and Ascension Parish. Plus, offer occupational health and weight loss solutions as a seamless extension of Our Lady of the Lake. Patients can access care from anywhere with the My Chart patient portal. Our urgent care centers are open 7 days a week. Just walk in. You can check in online or schedule a virtual care visit at lakeurgentcare.com. Dan, LSU is going to have the luxury of having 2 full days off. This is the first time, maybe since the 2000 team had Brian Talent, the ace, ready to go in the one-game championship, that LSU's got their pitching completely in line. They're pretty close in 2009, but even then they had to bring Anthony Ronaldo back for Game 3 of the championship series on 4 days rest. Not bad. Not like they had to rush anybody back after a day, but they have got everything set up here. They've got Kate Anderson on full rest, ready to go in the opener, I assume. They've got Anthony Ianson, who only threw 44 pitches before the rain came on Monday, ready to go in the 2-hole. They've got Kason Evans, who only threw 68 pitches on Tuesday, ready to go in the 3-holer and relief earlier than that if you want. The entire bullpen, none of them have been taxed to the point where they can't come back. They wouldn't have Zach Cowan on Saturday and maybe not even on Sunday, but they'd have him for Monday. So, and we're going to talk about Coastal here in a second, but LSU could not ask for a better situation. And just to play what if, Jay Johnson said this morning, if we were going to the 10th, Ianson was coming in. And if we had lost the game, we were going to chop tomorrow up between Anderson and Ianson. So I ask you, how much better are LSU's chances to win this championship series with this ending the way it did and Ianson and Anderson not having to pitch anymore?
1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean,
you might be low.
Yeah, really. Because and kudos to Jay for great pitching management, keep the pitch counts down. I mean, very fortunate to win that game. But you're right, Charlie. We couldn't be lined up better to win a championship than we are right now, except as you talk about for the opponent we're playing, who hasn't lost in a couple of months.
It has been 2 months. So LSU's in great shape to get into this series. We're going to talk about Coastal Carolina. I want to tell you about Dana Brown and the offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime, have been for the past 30 years for us. He's carried on his father O.C.'s legacy. If you've been in a car accident, if you have other legal issues that you need some help with, from traffic tickets all the way up, the law offices of O.C. Brown should be your first and only call. Truly your law firm for a lifetime, and that initial consultation is always free. Call 343-1111 or on the web, it's OC Brown, OSSIEBrown.com. Let me give you a few things about Coastal Carolina. They are on a 26-game win streak. They have not lost a game in just under 2 months, as Dan told you. Dan, you're coaching youth league baseball. You played and coached college baseball. You've sent, a ton of guys that have pitched in the big leagues. Winning 26 games in a row is not supposed to happen. It doesn't matter which one of those levels you're winning. 26 in a row requires you to be great, probably a little bit lucky, caught a break here and there somewhere in that streak. But just give me winning 26. We remember when they won 23 in a row here in 2008, which seemed remarkable, and it was 26 games in a row. You got a comp, you got an analogy, you got anything that when you say 26 in a row.
A third of those games have taken place in postseason competition.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Sun Belt Conference tournament. You're talking about a regional. You're talking about a super regional, and now Omaha. Okay, that's hard to do. 26 in a row. To keep that mental focus, you've got to have a little bit of good fortune. But the biggest thing you got to have is good players, a good system, and a belief in that system. And they're held to a standard, and they've got a great culture. And the coach, Kevin Schnall, is a new coach, but he's been there. He took over. He brought some new coach adrenaline, and they're a scary team, especially at Charles Schwab Field, Ameritrade Park.
I think
because of the way they play.
Yeah.
If they were in an SEC park, we'd have an advantage.
Yeah, because they don't hit a lot of home runs. It's about the only thing they don't do exceptionally well. If anybody's watching this podcast, we're getting baseball fans that live the sport. So this is more probably for the casual baseball fan. But don't think of Coastal Carolina as a mid-major or a smaller school, or they've played a lousy schedule, or their stats are inflated and they're not really good. Coastal Carolina doesn't remind me of a mid-major. They remind me of Cal State Fullerton in the 90s. And Dan, you guys went to war with those people a bunch of times. And when Cal State Fullerton got put in your bracket, it wasn't, oh boy, we get a mid-major. It was, oh crap, here come the Titans. They're the only team to get out of Alec Box Stadium other than the Tigers in the 90s. Coastal reminds me a lot of them. For instance, they went to Auburn this year, and they in the Super Regional, and took 2 straight games. Auburn was the number 4 national seed. They were playing at home. They hadn't lost 2 games in a row at home all season, much less a series. Vanderbilt, who was the number 1 national seed, went to Auburn and lost 2 out of 3. LSU, who they're playing in the national championship series, went to Auburn and lost all 3. Coastal went in and won both games. Their strength of schedule is in the top 50 in the country. Their RPI, had to sneak one more RPI in on
You
you,
had to get
Dan,
it
before
in.
the
I
end.
understand.
They are number 2, and up until yesterday, they were number 1 in the RPIs. This is a team that has 2 starting pitchers. If they walked off the bus wearing an SEC uniform, they would not be out of place. Jacob Morrison is 6'8" and 245 pounds. He looks just like Chase Shores. And in 104 innings, he's not lost a game. He's got an ERA of 2 and 102 strikeouts. And Cameron Flukie, who they're going to see in either game 1 or game 2, is 6'6" and 210 pounds. And he looks a little bit like Maverick Rizzi, maybe a little bit shorter. And he's got 109 strikeouts in 95 innings. So these guys look the part. They don't look like mid-major overachievers, is what I'm trying to tell you. As a team, they hit 290. They don't hit a ton of home runs. They do lead the nation in hit by pitch. The hit by pitch numbers are astounding, by the way. They've got twice as many as LSU. And this is a team that has been in the NCAA tournament 14 of the last 15 eligible seasons. So, Dan, this is not a plucky underdog. This is not a fun story. This is an excellent, excellent baseball team and program. And it's one LSU knows and Jay Johnson knows, because in 2016, they came to Baton Rouge and won the Super Regional. And when they got to Omaha, and they got to the national championship series, they beat Arizona, who was coached by Jay Johnson. So I'm sure the Tigers and their coach would like to get one back on Coastal Carolina, but this is a really, really, really good team.
It's a solid team. They have many ways to beat you. Like you said, the homer's not one of them, but they field well, they pitch well. Like you said, they pass the bus test, is what we call it. When they get off the bus, you're a little nervous. Now, one thing I'm excited, if somebody gets hit with a pitch and there's a brawl on the field, I want to see who wins it, because they could match up pretty good right there.
There's
But
some big kids.
yeah, there's some big kids. But no, they do a lot of things. They do a lot of the little things that win games that might go unnoticed in the box score, move runners over, play good defense. They're fielding like LSU. I mean, it's a great matchup. But again, a little bit of an advantage in the fact that LSU has a higher chance to hit home runs than they do. And in a tight ball game, tight series where everybody's evenly matched, that may be the one edge that LSU has that might come into play before this thing is over.
Well, let me, and by the numbers, you're right, but you got a favorite sandwich shop over there on the North Shore, whatever it is, I'll bet you a sandwich there that there is not a home run hit in the championship series, because the wind is scheduled to be blowing in 20 to 25 miles an hour, and it's for both games, Saturday and Sunday. Now we get to Monday maybe, but
Is it coming in from left field?
right field.
Straight in?
I'm no weatherman. I just know it's going to be blowing in very hard, and it's hard enough to get that ball out of that park as it is. So that the wind is going to
Advantage.
the wind is going to be
Coastal. Yeah.
the wind is going to be blowing in harder for these 2 first games than it has at any time in the series. So let's keep that in mind. But I think it's going to be a great series. I'm looking forward to it. I wanted to ask you one more thing as a pitching coach. If you look at a team like this, Dan, that's got this many hit by pitches, and it's 176 for the season in 67 games, okay? Obviously, there's an art form to this. I always kind of, it's like the batter's version of framing strikes. And so if you're a pitching coach and you know this, other than tell you guys not to hit them. I know, but what are you looking for from a team that obviously draws a lot of free passes this way?
Well, that means they're obviously up on the plate, trying to get it and have their elbows and everything over the plate. I think Jay Johnson's got to talk to the home plate umpire before he starts and say, listen, these guys lead the nation in hit by pitch. Be real careful. He may use some video replay to try to win some of those back if they get them during the game. But as a pitching coach, what you want to do is when you're throwing inside, keep the ball down below their elbows, because then that's a little harder to get hit by. It's a little different to take it in the ribs than it is to take it off the elbow pad. The Marucci elbow pad, has made the hit by pitch very popular. The other thing is you're going to pitch away a little bit more. And if you're consistent pitching away, especially early in the game, maybe you can get that umpire to take that strike zone out there. Throw for the middle and then try to move to the outside portion of the plate. Hopefully your catcher does a good job of stealing some pitches, and you can move that strike zone to the outer portion of the plate, maybe get a baseball or two outside, and that kind of evens the score with that hit by pitch.
So you're going to throw them further down instead of maybe up and in.
I'm not going up and in. I'm trying to stay below the elbow whenever I'm on the middle third, inside third of the plate. If I'm going up, I've got to go down the middle or outside to get that ball they can't reach, that high velocity, top of the zone strike.
3 times in this College World Series, file this one away, okay? 3 times in this College World Series, batters have been called for moving into a pitch, and that's a strike, okay? In the case of Gage Wood's no-hitter against Murray State, it was the second out of the 9th inning, where originally it was called a hit by pitch, and they called the batter for moving into it. And Dan, if he moved, it was less than a quarter of an inch, but they called a strike on him, excuse me, and that ended up being the 3rd strike, and that was the second out. Murray State had obviously that happened twice in that game. They had obviously clued in the home plate umpires. Look, this is what these guys are trying to do here. So I'm with you. Jay Johnson's got to say, look, if we hit them with a pitch, we hit them with a pitch. But if we hit them with a pitch because they moved into it and all that stuff, well, that's a strike. They've called this 3 times now in the World Series. I don't recall it being called all year, but it was called 3 times in this World Series. So something to watch. 6 o'clock on Saturday, ESPN, 1:30 Sunday afternoon on ABC, and then 6:30 on Monday night if necessary for LSU and Coastal Carolina for the 2025 National Championship. We'll be back next Tuesday for our final podcast of the year, win or lose. So hopefully we'll be talking about LSU's 8th national title. For Dan Canevari, I'm Charles Hanagriff. This has been the Hannycast.